Welcome to the Teaching Change Podcast, where we explore issues of social entrepreneurship, education, and innovation. I'm one of your hosts, Jerrid Caliquet.
I'm your other host, Courtney Moore. On today's episode, we will discuss building supportive networks.
Yes, so supportive networks. What we mean by supportive networks is how do you bring people around you that support your work, and more importantly, sometimes support you. So how do you build a network of people who are genuinely want to see you succeed, want to see you achieve your goals, and want to help you in that endeavor? That's what we're talking about today when we say building supportive networks. A lot of us probably think about our networks as supportive, but in reality, they may not be.
Okay.
Right? So think about your own workplace, and obviously, we everyone knows where we work. Everyone knows
Where
our
do we
roles.
work, Jerrid?
Valencia College, Orlando, Florida. But in your past, Courtney, you've kind of talked a little bit about. So we've talked about mentoring and some mentors you've had in the workplace and so forth. We've also talked about some of the projects you've worked on and some of the things you've done outside of the library or outside of a library in general. Do you feel like you have built a supportive network of people?
I do, actually. I am a part of Toastmasters. I don't know if I mentioned it 5,000 times.
Yeah, maybe like 5,001 times, maybe, yeah.
So within Toastmasters, and I started Toastmasters because I wanted to grow as a leader and a public speaker as well. Was important to me to surround myself with people that kind of had the same goals as I did as well. And I think in order to build those types of networks outside of work, you have to assess your interests and your goals in life. And then you have to find those organizations that are along those lines that will help you meet your particular goals. So you have to kind of be purposeful about that. So with Toastmasters, when I first joined, I arrived in the room, and they were very welcoming to me. And I just felt that that was the type of organization that I could grow with and that I could connect with people. And so I've been in Toastmasters since 2014, and now I'm my club president.
Oh, big boss.
I am.
Big boss, Courtney Moore.
And within my network for Toastmasters, I've been able to build really important and meaningful relationships where if I need a connection or a referral for, something else or another project that I'm working on, I am able to contact people within that particular social circle too. So I do think that it's important to have that work-life balance to make sure that outside of work that you're also taking care to build your personal network too.
Yeah, so I find it really interesting. So you kind of took the strategy of going outside of your professional work, and you found an organization that spoke to something that you wanted to gain expertise in and wanted to improve in, which is public speaking, and you talked about your leadership skills. So you went out and kind of found a group within your own community that could be or potentially could be that supportive network, which I think is really neat. Oftentimes, what I have done is found people within the industry that I'm in, in the industry that I'm in. So I've typically not done what you've done and gone out and found a group that is focused on a particular skill or particular hobby, but rather found a professional network of people who can support me in the work that I'm doing, whether that be fellow social entrepreneurs or fellow educators, or even people within my workplace.
Yeah.
And neither one is wrong. They're both fantastic. I think a lot of times we forget to, especially, I think I've been in the business world, and I think especially in the business world, but also in higher education, and I'm sure probably K through 12 as well, and any other field, there is a level of competition, obviously, right?
Right.
And I think that sometimes we get so caught up on the competition that we don't value the importance of building a network that can actually help us. So our networks tend to be only people that are vested in the same thing that we are, or are intimately involved in what we're involved in. And that's not really what we're talking about.
Right. And I thought it was important to build a network outside of work, because I think if I surrounded myself with other librarians who I love dearly, but that's what I do for my day job. So I like to have that bit of me time and that release time as well, so I can explore other people and other stories other than mine and my chosen profession.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand it. So you don't have to be, so you could just be Courtney.
I could just
when you
be
show,
Courtney.
Yeah, when you show up to Toastmasters. Whereas here, everywhere you go, you're librarian Courtney.
Yes, and I will tell you that my Toastmasters members will probably tell you that I've mentioned that I am a librarian a few 5,000 times too.
It's 5,001 on this show.
5,001.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Both ways.
Yeah, I mean, and it's difficult to separate ourselves from the things that we love, and the things that we enjoy and we spend a lot of time doing. And so, our careers obviously are something that's important to us. So obviously we talk about it. But I think that's really valuable that you realize that if you were just to go to the local library association, of your fellow librarians, I'm positive that there's those groups, and you all get together and talk about the best way to shelve books and
Jerrid Callaghan, you did not just say that.
No, I've learned a lot about librarians since we started this, but there'd be some limitations to your growth,
right?
And that makes a lot of sense. Going back to the competition. Now, Toastmasters, my understanding is that there is a competitive aspect.
There
of it,
is.
Right?
We have contests as well. And then for every meeting, we have someone that wins Best Speaker, Best Table Topics, and Best Evaluator as well.
Wow. Okay. So how does that, in my experience in both higher ed and in the business world as well, both relatively competitive. And what I mean by that is that at the end of the day, my success is dependent somewhat on the other person's setback or the other person's failure, or at least that's the mind frame. I don't believe that's reality. I think if we all succeed, I think if I'm able to succeed, it's in part by someone else's success as well. That's my personal view. But I do know that there's a belief, and I've experienced that belief, and I've sometimes been the victim of that belief and believed it myself, that I need to succeed over other people.
Okay.
And then I think that breeds the competition. And so, in the business world, I'm not going to share all of my whatever it is, secrets, information, etc., because you could take advantage of that. And so I'm not going to be vulnerable to you because you could use that against me. Right?
Yeah, I've experienced people with that same perspective, or, they want to seem that they can't be replaced almost, so you want to be the best, and I totally understand that. You want your organization to see you as priceless, you cannot be replaced. So, yeah, I do understand why people feel that way.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what we were talking about in the previous episode, where if I work the most hours and I put in the most work, then I am a better employee. I am a better, more productive, member of this team. And I think it goes along with the, this organization will never exist if I leave.
Right.
Or it'll fall apart when I leave.
And spoiler alert, it goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it will still be here.
In many cases, it most likely will be, especially if you're part of a large organization.
Yeah.
And then it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy as well, right? There are organizations that when the founder, when the leader, or when a member of the team leaves, it really does struggle. But it struggles more because the person that left set it up to basically fail when they did leave. Not because their leaving in of itself made the organization unsuccessful. And what I mean by that is a lot of times we get into the mind frame that what we have done or what we've been able to accomplish, no one else could.
Right.
And we also don't work with and train and mentor the folks below us. And so we become the keepers of the playbook. And when we leave, we take that with us. And then no one below us and no one around us from the organization knows how to do the things that we did. And thus it fails. So it's more of a reflection on the person that leaves, I think, and their inability to create a transition and a leadership transition process more than anything else. But I'm particularly interested in how you feel your supportive network within Toastmasters operates when there's a very explicit competition nature. Is it sometimes contentious? Is it sometimes difficult to compete with people and then fully feel supported by the same people that you're, going against in this very explicit competition?
Right. For the weekly meetings, I will say that the competition is all in good fun because basically we're all there to just grow as leaders and to grow as speakers. So I never take it to heart if I don't win for best speaker. I think we are very supportive of each other, so we applaud each other's wins.
Okay.
Now, once we have our club contest, then it's all on. Then no, I'm just joking.
So
I'm just
you
joking.
really take off the gloves.
Take off
huh?
the gloves. Then
Yeah.
no. It's still a supportive environment then as well. And so when we have our club contest, then we go to the area contest where we compete against other clubs. And then it's still the fun of the competition. So I think people just enjoy being invited to the game, or to the contest there. So in that way, I don't think it really is about winning at all. It's just about having that opportunity to speak and to show your value. And that's where the reward is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So is it possible that you're the only non-competitive person, and everyone else is like?
I'm like, yay! We're all in this together.
Yeah, and every single other person is like vying for the prize, full steam.
I know.
And maybe you're the only supportive network person in the entire group.
But I think there's a lesson in winning as well, and there's a lesson in losing. Because by losing, you can kind of reflect on what you need to improve upon, and then you can reflect on the person that won as well to see what they might have done better than you. So that winning becomes a model for you and a goal for you for the future. So okay. That's in that way, Jerrid Calicay, it's a win-win.
Okay, all right, I get you.
Win-win.
I get you. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I think there's a real value. I think one of the neatest things about the supportive network you found is one. It was the nice thing about it is it's completely removed from your day job, and so yes, of course, there could be other librarians there, but odds are you're not talking shop.
Right.
Sometimes we get caught up. I know at least early on in my career, I got caught up in a kind of all my friends were the people that I worked with. And I had relocated from another city in the state and came down from grad school. And so everyone that I was friends with were basically my coworkers. And so whenever we went out or whenever we did anything to decompress or to relax or to hang out, just to get away, it was all of the same people that I worked with. And so we ended up inevitably always talking shop.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And so we ended up just talking about the same things that we would talk about if we were in the office. And so it was, even though we were out, smoking a cigar and having a drink or, at a restaurant or, celebrating something or whatever the case may be, inevitably everyone in the group worked in the same place, worked in the same, or at least the same field. And we ended up just talking shop, and there wasn't, and what I didn't realize then that I realize now is there really wasn't that decompression. There really wasn't that relaxation that I was really looking for. And so everything kind of just circled the same, which contributed to me working a lot of hours, way more than I needed to get the job done. and kind of that circle of trap, right? And so I found a lot of value in finding people that are, as much as I enjoy finding people professionally within the field that I'm in, and networking with them and helping them kind of build what they're doing and them helping me build what I'm doing. I also value and I look for people that are removed from the worlds that I occupy. So removed from higher ed, removed from social entrepreneurship, because when they share kind of what's going on in their life or what they share in their workplace, it gives me comfort that it's very similar to the same kind of challenges that I might be facing.
So, and what type of venues do you find
Well,
these people?
To be honest,
Please.
My wife, Deanna Calicay, hi, honey.
Hi, Deanna.
She is a social butterfly. She loves meeting new people and gets a lot of energy from that. And so, in the past 10 years that we've been married, she has set me up on blind husband dates.
That is so cute. Oh my god.
And sometimes it goes really well, and sometimes not so much. But that is primarily because I'm much more introverted, and it takes me energy to go out and meet people.
It does.
And I am not particularly great at small talk. I also don't get excited about the stereotypical things that guys are supposed to get excited about. Football, basketball, sports in general. I mean, I enjoy watching sports, but I don't have the best memory. In that I don't remember who won the Super Bowl last year. I know. I'm sorry.
Probably the Patriots.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to go there.
I don't know either.
But yeah, I mean, but I don't remember like facts and figures. And so inevitably, whenever those conversations turn to sports, which is a lot of the small talk that men, at least in the US that I've experienced, typically turn to, I don't contribute very much because I don't remember exactly who won what or what, all the stats and all this kind of thing. So I'm not particularly good at guy small talk. And so my wife basically fixes me up with the husbands of her friends or boyfriends or what have you. And so that's kind of where I find most of the folks that are outside of my normal working worlds. And like I said, sometimes it goes really well, sometimes it doesn't. But the other thing that I do enjoy is again hearing kind of their trials and tribulations and realizing that it's really all the same. That the human experience is much more similar regardless of your work, the society you live in, the class you might come from, etc. Than we're led to believe. And so, it's kind of neat to hear people's stories of their workplace and make comparisons to your own, even if the exact problems aren't the same. The overall themes are oftentimes the same. But building supportive networks is all about getting people around you that can be honest with you. And what I mean by that is a lot of times you get a lot of people, especially if you have you get to a level of a success. Inevitably, there'll be people around you that you're responsible for at some level their livelihood. Whether you're the manager or whether you're the CEO or whether you're the founder, etc. There's people going to be around you that you kind of sign their check in a sense, either literally or figuratively. And those people, if you haven't chosen them correctly, those people might have a tendency to tell you exactly what you want to hear. The yes men or yes women. The problem with that is sometimes we need the hard truth. Yeah. Sometimes we need to be told that our idea was terrible or what we're doing is terrible or whatever it might be. And if we don't have if we don't have people like that in our quote unquote supportive network, then that leads us astray. We see people in entertainment business all the time kind of get this way, right? They start doing things and then they get a whole bunch of people around them that are all dependent on them for their livelihoods, and they're less likely to be told the truth, and that becomes very problematic. And we need that wake up call often. So we need people that are going to be openly honest with us, not in a rude manner, because we've all known that one person. It's like, well, I'm just honest. No, you're mean. We all know that person. I'm just honest. They can't handle my honesty. No, you're just mean. You didn't need to tell them that. Right. But so honesty and being mean is not the same thing. But someone that's going to tell us what's what. You know, going to call a spade a spade. Those are the people that we need in our network, and those are the people that we need in our lives.
What's a good size for a social network? Like, is there a certain point where it's too big, where you can't find that connection with everybody?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's going to be different per person.
Yeah,
it's going to be different. Some people are much more comfortable having one person be their network and be their, and know everything about them. Other people are going to.
So we can have a one-person social network?
I mean, I think you can. I mean, not social network, but supportive network. Yeah. I mean, if you had Mark Zuckerberg would have not been very successful if he only had he built a social network to have one person in it, himself. Yeah.
You can see what I'm thinking about. All right. Supportive network.
Yeah. But the supportive network, I think it could be. I mean, I think the issue there, though, is that we then will try to rely too much on that one person.
Yeah.
Which could be problematic. A lot of times people, especially people in relationships, will do this, and what I mean by that, like a husband and wife, wife and wife, etc. Boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend, etc., etc. And they will put everything on that one person. And that's a really heavy load. Mm-hmm. And so I think you do run into that problem. But with that being said, I mean, I think you could have a supportive network of one person. That one person you can call and be like, oh, the day went crazy. Let me tell you about it. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. And then they, talk you through it or whatever the case. But it will depend it will depend per person. Some people could have 50 super close friends, and that's perfectly cool. Some people want 100 friends that are kind of close, but not really. It all really depends on each person. It depends on how comfortable you are, and what your needs are at the time. And I also don't think you need to build one supportive network. I don't think you should build one supportive network that will go across every issue in your life, or go across every aspect of your life. So I've built my professional supportive network, in higher education and in social entrepreneurship, which there's some overlap, but they're also separate. And then I also have a supportive network of just dads, because I'm a father. And so there's unfortunately no good playbook, at least not that I've found. And so it's nice to talk to other men who are dads in that kind of scenario and going through that life. Mm-hmm. And so I have a supportive network for that. I'm also a son of aging parents. And so I look for, people that have kind of gone through that or are going through that and, taking care of parents and, doctor's appointments and all that stuff, that kind of caregiver thing. So it has to be kind of diverse, right? And trying to find one network that's going to be able to be universal is probably not realistic. You've been listening to the Teaching Change podcast, where we explore issues of social entrepreneurship, education, and innovation. Today's topic has been building supportive networks. In addition to that, today's a special episode because my co-host, Courtney Moore, will be signing off for the last time for a little while. Not the last time permanently, but for a little while.
For a little while. It's been a pleasure working with you, Jerrid, and learning about social entrepreneurship. I feel that I am a great ally now, and I look forward to having great conversations with you in the future, on and off the air.
Absolutely. And I look forward to your next podcast, whatever that may be.
We'll see. Find us online at teachingchangepodcast.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, be happy.
And change some stuff.